Hello, everyone, and welcome to my very first ever Marketing Monday. I am so excited you're here. These Marketing Mondays are going to be live every Monday where I help coaches and course creators market your business better each week. So I'm Kelly France, for those of you that don't know me. I went from food stamps to seven figures, and I have been an entrepreneur. I call myself a serial entrepreneur for the past 20 years online, running different businesses. And I have helped hundreds of women grow successful businesses. I'm also the creator of the Shine Strategy for Confident Coaching Success and the host of the Top 1% podcast called Finally Fearless. And I'm the author of the book One Goal for 100 Days. And finally, I am a business coach for coaches and course creators. And I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so excited to help you grow your business and thrive in 2025. So let's dive in. We're going to talk today about how long form content is queen for coaches. Now, using only short form content like Instagram or TikTok as a coach doesn't work anymore. And if it does, it takes entirely too long. So I know this because I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years and I've been on Instagram since my son was a baby and now he's 13 years old. So I've been on for a long time. And I used to be able to post on Instagram and just get seen and have people reply and get clients and sales. And now there's just so much noise. So my first year of coaching was kind of a flop because I spent all my time and energy on short form content and I only made a few hundred a month from it. But when I heard Google's 7-Eleven 4 rule, it blew my mind. And so I knew things had to change because the game had changed. And what was that change I made? It was doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing. So I am going to show you how I went from only making a few hundred a month as a coach to having my first 10K month as a coach this month. This month, baby. It happened and it's so exciting. So let's dive in. Let's talk about the power of long form content for coaches. So, Google did a study, like I mentioned, that they call the 7-4-11 rule. And it's based on research that suggests that a consumer needs to engage with your brand in a certain way before they are ready to make a purchase. And that way is 7 hours of interaction, 11 different moments or touch points, and four different platform locations. So, the 7 hours of interaction, the average consumer needs to spend 7 hours engaging with your brand before they're making a purchase. So this could be, watching videos, attending webinars or master classes, reading emails. And then the 11 different touch points is 11 different interactions with your brand before they make a purchase. So these could be with ads, with email newsletters, social media, one-on-one interactions, and then four different locations. So the consumer needs to interact with your brand in four different physical or digital locations. For example, maybe they'll see, read an email, attend a master class, um, visit go to a webinar. And the 7-Eleven rule is a way to understand the modern customer journey and how to build a relationship of trust to convert a potential customer into a paying client. So as a coach with a personal brand, your success comes from building relationships. I think we know this, but sometimes we forget that that's what it comes down to. That's what marketing is all about. It's about building a relationship. And one of the fastest ways to deepen those relationships is through long form content. And by long form content, I mean like watching, a training that you do, listening to a podcast, watching a YouTube video. It's anything that's like more than 5 minutes of content. So I want you to notice your own buying behavior. Have you ever hired a coach and how did you hire them? So I sat down and I analyzed some of my own buying behaviors and also my husband's. So I'm going to give you guys some examples, real life examples of how myself and my husband have hired coaches because I'm a huge advocate of coaches, as you guys are too, because you are coaches. But I'm sure you've had coaches in your life coaches, health coaches, fitness coaches, um, business coaches. And so here's an example of how my husband spent $5,000 on an Airbnb coach. So, a little backstory, we have two Airbnbs, both in Oceanside, California, which is about 30 minutes from us. And my husband manages and runs those Airbnbs. And so he was looking for a coach that would help him on his business journey. And here's kind of the steps that he took to before he hired him. So this was fascinating. I loved just like picking my husband's brain, and he like had forgotten all the steps he took. So first of all, he watched a guest speaker speak for 30 minutes at an in-person conference. So there's 30 minutes. Then he looked him up on social media and followed him and joined his email. Then he got email invites to his live calls. He actually did Marketing Mondays. That's what gave me the idea, was his Airbnb coach did those. Um, and so Matt watched two of his 45-minute Marketing Monday videos on YouTube. So there's an hour and a half of spending time in long form content. Then he watched this guy's 1 hour masterclass. And then he booked a 30-minute discovery call to learn more about his program. Then he hopped on the discovery call, but didn't sign up for the program. So there's 30 minutes right there of a discovery call. Then he saw an email that talked about an in-person conference that was $250. So my husband signed up for that. And he went to the conference, and the coach gave a discount to join his program, and he discounted the program from 7,500 to 5,000. And the discount ended at midnight of the conference. So then my husband joined his program, and I did the math, and that was 11 and a half hours of interaction, 10 different touch points, and six across 6 platforms. So can you see how the power of long form content? I'm going to share some experiences I've had in hiring coaches in the past. So one time when I hired a coach for $5,000, I saw his reel that he probably boosted. I followed him. Then I later saw another reel and I replied to his call to action that had it with a keyword. And ManyChat sent me the link to his YouTube video and I watched it. So that's about 30 minutes right there. And then from that YouTube, I noticed in the description of the YouTube video that you could sign up for his emails and join his school community. So I did that. And then later I got an email from him that kind of intrigued me. So then I watched two case study videos that he had. They were interviews of clients that he had worked with, that he had success with. And so that was about an hour. They were like 30 minutes each. So that's about an hour. Then I began binge watching more of his YouTube videos. So there's another hour and a half. And I replied to an email with one question, which he answered, and then I signed up. After only, the math is 3 hours of interaction, no discovery call. I'd never even talked to the guy, but only 3 hours, which is pretty crazy to me. But it was all long form content. It was from those videos where I, you know, escalated the relationship, where the relationship grew quickly because of those long form content pieces. Here's another experience where I signed up for a mastermind with a coach for $5,000. I saw a reel, and then I followed her. Then I saw some more reels from her. I commented on her call to action in her ManyChat, sent me a link to her to sign up for her masterclass, which I did. And the masterclass cost money, actually. I bought and I watched the masterclass, which was about an hour and a half long. Then I saw more reels later down the road, bought another one of her masterclasses, which was another hour and a half long. And then I replied to her stories about her mastermind that she was offering and had a DM conversation with her through voice memos. And then I signed up for her mastermind. So that was only 3 hours of consuming her long form content. Now, here's another story of how I hired a different coach for 2000. Like I said, I love me a coach, and I think that they have helped me across the years with my different serial entrepreneur journeys. So with this one, I saw her reel. I binge watched her Instagram reels for half an hour. Then I bought and watched a master class that she offered. So that was about half an hour. Bought another course from her and watched that. So that was about an hour and a half, and hired her after only 2.5 hours. So I can see how you can multiply and fast track this with long form content. Here's the final story, and this one's the best one. How I hired a different coach for $9,000. And I was actually shocked when I was like, wait, that was $9,000. But it's because she did a payment plan spread out on a 12-month payment plan. So payment plans are huge. I teach this to my clients right now. So Jenna's seeing the value here. She's getting my vision. I love it. So final story, I followed this woman on social media from a reel that I saw, because you know that Instagram, it will pump out reels to your non-followers and show up on your For You page. So I saw a reel that intrigued me. And then I went to her bio. I saw a pinned post about a podcast that she had collaborated and was featured on. Then I listened to so I listened to that podcast, and that was about 45 minutes. Then I filled out a coaching application to potentially work with her. I got invited to get on a clarity call with her for 30 minutes, and then I hired her 24 hours later after the call, and I only spent an hour and 15 minutes with her. Crazy, right? Like, that is the power of long form content, and it's huge. So here's my solution to implement the 7-11-4 rule in your coaching business. And that is, so for the 7 hours, you're going to create long form content. For the 11 moments, you are going to create a consistency through a series. And for the 4 formats, you're going to use the 4 C's platforms. So to squish it all together, the 7-11-4, you're basically going to create long form content, that's the 7, as a consistent series, that's the 11, on 4 C's platforms. So let me break it down for you. All right, so let's break it down to the 7 hours, which equals long form content. So what is long form content? Like I already said, long form content is anything that can hold your attention for more than, I would say, 5 minutes. And 7 hours may seem like a lot, but prospects do it over time, and you're going to create it over time. You're not going to sit down and create 7 hours of content, right? Now, why long form content? Because it's the fastest track to get clients. You can see in my buying journey of hiring coaches myself in the past, I binged their long form content, which put me on the fast track to build a relationship with them. And so all of the coaches I hired and that my husband hired had some form of long form content. So let me give you some girl math that's going to blow your mind. Okay. Basically, if you want to, create content, long form content that your potential customers, that your prospects can consume in order to build a relationship of trust with you, they could do it by doing it through 7 hours of 1 hour content. So maybe you have a bunch of 1 hour videos they could watch. Or 14 half hours of your content, 28 15-minute pieces of your content, or here's the one that's going to blow your mind. 1,680 reels at 15 seconds each. Okay, can you see how making reels alone is not, it's not, it ain't, it's not it. It's not it. And that is if, think about it, I did some more math. If you made 5 reels a day, that's a lot of freaking reels right there. That for a year, that would equal the 1680 reels that you would need um, to get those 7 hours. But spoiler alert, your followers are not going to see them all because that's the algorithm game we're playing, right? So even if you did somehow magically make 5 reels a day for a year, they're not going to see all those reels. So no freaking wonder you're struggling to get clients when you're only focusing on short form content like reels and posts. And I'm guessing you're not consistent. I'm guessing you're not pumping out 5 a day, right? So this is why long form content is essential for coaches. Most coaches rely too heavily on short form content like Instagram Reels, TikTok videos, and Facebook posts. And these are great for visibility and all, but they don't give your audience the opportunity to see you in action as a coach. That's the other problem. They're not actually seeing you coaching. And so one of the struggles that many of my clients that I coach have is they're so dang good at what they do. They're so good at coaching. But when it came to showing that in short form, bite-sized reels, they sucked at it because it's honestly, it's not the platform, it's not the game for coaches. Why? Because coaches like to talk and teach and interact, right? And so coaches are basically long form content in action, right? When you coach a private one-on-one client, you don't do it in 15 seconds. You do it in like 30-minute, 45-minute, hour chunks. And so short form content is simply not a good fit for coaches. And long form content allows you to step into your power and showcase your value in a deeper, more meaningful way. So your audience needs to see your ace. I'm a word nerd. I use my clients, my Shine clients know that I use acronyms all the time. My literal Shine program is an acronym. But here's an acronym for you, and that is ACE. And it is authority, coaching, and expertise. It's really hard to showcase that in a 10, 15-second reel, right? But that's what they need to see in order to like, know, and trust you and want to buy from you. So when you consistently show up and serve your audience, they start to see you as the solution to their problems. And so think about it. Have you ever listened to a podcast or attended a masterclass and immediately thought, I want to work with this person? Like, she has the answers that I need. That's the power of long form content, and it builds trust, authority, and connection faster than anything else. And that's the key. It's a faster approach. It expedites the relationship. So if you are a coach looking to attract more clients or a course creator, you need to focus on creating intentional, consistent, long form content because your audience needs to see you in action to truly understand the value you bring as a coach. Because when you speak to others and you coach them, they see the value in it. But sometimes it's hard for them to see that in little tiny 10-second reels. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the 11 touch points, those 11 moments where they're interacting with you. And the way to do that is through consistent series. You want to be binge worthy, okay? You want to be the Netflix of coaching. You want them to binge your content. And so when you have 11 different moments or touch points, that means that you need to create the ability for your prospects to come back around to you. And so in other words, you need to be binge worthy to nurture them once they've shown interest, once they're following you, once they opt into your emails, or subscribe to your YouTube. And so how do you create long form content consistently without overwhelm? Well, I get it because you're busy, right? And it's sometimes the thought of spending hours creating content feels really impossible, really overwhelming. But the key is to establish systems and what I call forced accountability to make it easy and consistent. So I teach my clients in my Shine program exactly how to do this. I call it the one stone system. But basically, the gist of it is to set a weekly schedule and commit to a regular time each week for live classes, kind of like what I'm doing right now. For example, with these Marketing Mondays, right? I show up, I show you, I give you 20 minutes of value, build a relationship, share my expertise, share my ace, and then, that builds the relationship. It expedites the relationship. Keep it simple. That's the other tip. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be consistent. I always say to my clients, start sloppy. Don't be a perfectionist procrastinator. So, and then the final tip is to leverage your content. So once you've created a piece of long form content, you can then repurpose it into smaller pieces for your Instagram, for your Facebook, for your podcasts, for your newsletters. And this maximizes your effort while keeping your audience engaged. So now let's talk about the four different platforms, the four C's. Again, I'm a word nerd. I got my teaching degree and I just love to use things that are memorable for me and for my clients. And so the four C's are, and there's also a bonus C, is channel. So YouTube videos, class. So something like this where it's a weekly live or a Zoom, or it can even be a monthly masterclass if that feels, more doable. A call, like a discovery call or a clarity call or even an audit. I do Instagram audits and that has helped me grow my business. And then the bonus C word is collaborations. So, and those are not going to, those aren't as consistent. That's why it's a bonus one. But collaborating with other people in your industry that have the same audience that you want. So, when people so calls and collaborations are one of the biggest ways that I've built my coaching business. And now I'm adding classes, casts. I know that was a stretch. Podcasts, you get it. Casts and channels in 2025. And I'm freaking stoked because, again, long form content is where it's at. It's how you expedite that relationship building process. And so anything you can add, any of these four C's that you can add is going to benefit your business substantially. So when people spend extended time with you through this type of content, they feel like they know you. And this has been my experience with the coaches I hired. I was like, I already know, I already felt like we were friends, right? And I'm sure you've had this experience as well, where you felt like you knew them and you liked their vibe and you trusted them. And so then you hired them. So to summarize, basically my solution strategy to implement the 7-11-4 rule in your business is to get the 7 hours is long form content. To get the 11 moments, it's consistency and even a consistent series that's binge worthy, right? And then the 4 formats are the 4 C's platforms that I shared with you. And to put it all together in one sentence, to have that, Google's 7-11-4, create long form content as a consistent series on 4 C's platforms. And guess what? If you don't do it, your competition will. So there's my short and sweet training for you. I hope that was helpful. I didn't want to make these too long because you are busy ladies just like me. And so now I'm gonna answer some of your questions in the chat, but also you can add any more questions you have. But I also want to share to join me next week for Marketing Monday. We're going to be talking about why you're in the friend zone with your coaching business. And I have a really fun analogy for you. So let me go to the chat and look at these questions that y'all have. and get to those. So let me pull it up. All right. So, okay, Michelle said one of my biggest investments was from listening to a podcast of the coach. Yes, right? Podcasts, powerful. Um, Jenna said, I'm seeing it. She's seeing the vision of why why long form content is so powerful. And Brooke said, I got to figure out long form content. Yes. Yes, you do. And then Michelle said, I actually love creating long form content. So this is good for me, right? It's actually really fun because this is what coaches love to do. We love to coach, we love to teach, we love to train. And you can do that through long form content so much easier than through a reel. Brooke said she's a recovering perfectionist procrastinator. I know, girl. It's a thing. It's a struggle for real. I think I for sure used to be one, and I have to self-coach a lot and be like, no, we're just putting it out there. We're gonna start sloppy. We're gonna do our best and leave the rest. So Jenna asked, can we put this on YouTube after, like the recording, your Marketing Monday? Yes. So this Zoom that I did live with y'all is going to be posted on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/KellyFrance. And so this is going to be on YouTube. Then it's going to be turned into a podcast and so much more. So Brooke said, how long is the best length for a podcast? That's a great question. It really depends on your audience, Brooke. If you have an audience of busy moms, short and sweet might be better for you. So you got to ask yourself, what would I listen to? If it's like, if you like 1 hour, that's great. If you are more like, I'll listen to a 10, 20-minute podcast, then do that. It's really what your audience would respond to and also what is doable for you. Like, speaking for an hour, I don't know that I would want to do that, especially if I had to do it consistently, right? Because that's a lot of prep to speak for an hour. But if that's not a lot of prep for you and you think your audience would like it, go for it. Okay, Brooke said, when I do my hour-long styling sessions, I find it so much easier than creating a reel, right? It really is. It's so much easier and it's fun and it's fulfilling and it lasts longer. Like reels kind of die off. But YouTube videos last for years and years. I still get hits on some of my past YouTube videos that I made 10 years ago. So that's the other thing is they last a lot longer. Plus, YouTube is a search engine of its own. And so that is amazing. Jenna said, can we use slides for this? Yes, you can. But for me, I want to turn it into small pieces of content as well. And sometimes when you clip it vertically and you have like slides, it doesn't always look pretty. It doesn't always work out. So keep that in mind as you are, creating a series or creating long form content that we also want to double dip and turn it into short form. And that is a little trickier when you got slides in the background. But that's a great question, Jenna. Okay, any other questions? I am so excited to implement this more in the year 2025, and I know it's going to be huge for my business because I've seen it in my own past businesses as well, and it's powerful. So thank you so much for watching, and we're going to see you guys next week on our next Marketing Monday. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also my email so that you can get an invite every week. Thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.